Let us pray. Father Yahuwah, we thank Thee again for Thy loving kindness and Thy truth. Help us, Father, to come before Thee in Thy name, to read Thy word, to study Thy word carefully, to bring Thee righteous praise, worship, and all that is in us beautiful in Thy sight, Father. Make us into Thy image. Please forgive us of our sins and iniquity and shortcomings. Cover us by the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Wash us clean by Thy truth. Let Thy name alone be lifted up in all that we are, in all that we do, Father. Grant us Thy wisdom, knowledge, and understanding at this time, that we may receive of Thee from Thy word. In Yahushua HaMashiach's name we pray. Amen. Today we're going to continue with the book of Romans chapter 8. Last Sabbath we got to verse 10, and we shall continue, if we're willing, the rest of the book of Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8 verse 11. But if the spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. This is all given in plural form. Second person here is a plural form. You. It's continuing with the verse 10, which said on verse 10, and if Hamashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. We talked about last week that this form of statement we don't really use in English language. Most people would rather say that spirit is alive instead of spirit is life. But this is a correct translation. Spirit is life, because it is the spirit that gives life, that is life. That's why your spirit, if you are born of Yahushua HaMashiach, received from above, you do not die. Your being never dies. Unless you commit sin, then you fall into the same law of sin and death again, and you're going to be rejected. However, your body is dead. Okay? That's why Yahushua spoke to Martha in front of that tomb, her brother's tomb. Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. That Lazarus shall rise again, because he is found in Yahushua HaMashiach. But if the spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, that is the spirit of Father. Now, instead of spirit, if you substitute word life, then it'll make easier understanding. But if life of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, see, if you have a life that never dies, then of course he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies, this body. But when the Holy Ghost raise up or quicken, make it alive our bodies, it will never be this body ever again. Okay? Because it will not need to have all those earthly properties. Decaying, getting old, getting aged, none of that will be applicable. Verse 12 continues, therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh, to live after the flesh, because we are dead to the flesh. Flesh is dead. If you are a child of Yahuwah, born in Yahushua HaMashiach, how do you know you are a child of Yahuwah? You deny your flesh. You don't follow according to your idea what people of this world, what things of this world dictate you. And the reason why is because for I taught you last week that you better be careful. You must be paying close attention to these connecting words. Going from each verse to next verse, there's a connection. Because, verse 13, for means because. Because if you live after the flesh, ye shall die. Because you're not living after the Spirit. You can only live one way or the other. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve Yahuwah and the flesh, mammon, at the same time. You can't do that. For you live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. You do not actually mortify your body, by the way. There are people who think that, in order to be a good Christian, you gotta literally bleed, let the blood come out, cut up your body parts, mutilate your body, cut it open, right? Or deny your body to the point where you starve yourself to death. That's not what mortifying your flesh means. Yahuwah knows that in order for us to live on this earth, in this world, that's where He chose us to keep us until the next time. We need this physical body. Therefore, He feeds us physical flesh, physical food. You need place to sleep. You need food to eat. You need clothes to protect your body. All those things. To deny of those things will be going against Yahuwah's intention. Okay? So it clarifies here, the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body. What the body does naturally. Okay? So what kind of deeds should your body do if you're a child of Yahuwah? You should do the deeds that befits that is acceptable for Yahuwah's children to behave. Okay? So it's never about what your physical body is like. So people often make mistake that, you have to have a specialized body. Yeah, eventually we're going to have a very different type of body. But in this world, we have exact same body. What changes is what that body does. You no longer use it for your purpose. You may eat the same kind of food that you ate before, but it is for the different purpose. And because it is for different purpose, how much you eat, or how fast you eat, or what kind of things you like to eat, they could also be affected. They could also be changed. Okay? But this does not mean you stop eating food. Right? Okay, so please be careful. Let me read verse 13 again. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. Because, verse 14 continues, for as many as are led by the Spirit of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. They still walk in this physical body. When Abraham was Abram, before he became Abraham, and Yahuwah called him, Yahuwah told him to walk before Yahuwah in perfect. And Abraham did not receive a different body. He had the same old body, which he has been walking, doing his things for 75 years. He was called out of Haran when he was 75 years old. What changed was what kind of life he led. He used to live according to what he thought was a good idea. First 75 years. But the next 100 years, he continued to hone and discipline his body to follow Yahuwah's leading. It was not easy in the beginning. In fact, in the beginning, you see records of Abram before he became Abraham. Okay, he doesn't become Abraham until many years later, 24 years later. Okay, age 99. So for the first 24 years, he was still called Abram, not Abraham. And he listens to Yahuwah's leading, led up the Spirit, guided by Yahuwah's instruction and his purpose, what he needs to do. But there are times that Abraham will interject. He will sneak in things that he thought was a good idea. Twice it's recorded. When he was down in Egypt, he asked his wife Sarah, please tell everybody that thou art my sister. Remember that? That did not come from mind of Yahuwah. That idea, that action came from Abraham's flesh. So you could see the flesh still not only there, it will always be there until the physical body ends, dies. But the flesh was getting best of Abraham. That's what the Bible here is talking about, mortifying the body, mortifying the deeds of the body. Okay, so eventually what happens? Abraham does succeed because Yahuwah's faithfulness. And that succession, the completion, happens on the Mount of Moriah, where later, about 1,000 years later, actually more than 1,000 years, I'm sorry, about 1,400 years later, in the exact same spot, Yahushua, the son of living Elohim, is sacrificed. That's where Abraham, following the instruction and leading of the Spirit of Yahushua, Spirit of Yahuwah, that he was ready to sacrifice his only begotten son. And people don't think about this, therefore they don't realize it. But Abraham could have easily made an objection to that, saying that, wait a minute, you're the one, speaking to Father Yahuwah, you're the one who gave me this son, Isaac. Now you want me to kill him? That's going against your own instruction. You're flip-flopping. There are many times that we could see that. Again, Yahuwah is a creator. He could tell you, stop here, don't go. And then you stay. And then many days later, okay, now go. Are you going to tell him, why did you make me stop here then? I could have kept on going. And had I kept on going, I could have ended up wherever I was going faster. Why did you make me wait here? Little do people realize that whole idea of being controlled by Spirit of Yahuwah must include keeping your mouth shut when your brain tells you this is what? Flip-flopping. Anyway, Abraham does pass the test. And because he passed the test, later on, he's able to continue to obey. This does not mean from the time Abraham did sacrifice Isaac, well, he didn't get to finish the work, right? Father Yahuwah stopped him in the middle of the track. But from that moment until he died, we don't know exactly how many years, but it could have been 30, 40, 50 years, right? It does not mean that Abraham walked perfectly in everything that he did. No. He could have faltered. But we do know that he didn't falter in a way that complaining to God, complaining to Yahuwah. Why are you flip-flopping? Why are you going back and forth? For as many as are led by the Spirit of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. Think about a driver driving a car. You think about yourself, put yourself in the perspective of a car. Why are you making me stop if you're going to make me go a few moments later? And if I'm going, why are you dragging my chain, yanking my chain and slowing me down? You understand? We do that all the time. Step on the brake and step on the gas pedal, step on the brake. Why are we doing that? You're flip-flopping. Just leave it alone. Right? Do you leave the faucet water running all the time? No. Most of the time it's shut. But when you're doing dishes, you turn it up to let the water out. Think about it in faucet's perspective. Why are you telling me to let the water flow and then stop? Makes no sense. Leave it alone. That's how flesh responds to the guidance and control of the Spirit. 100% of time, that's the response. And any mechanical or electronic or any kind of device, any kind of machine that says something like that to a human being when he or she is trying to use it, what do you think they will do? They'll throw it out. What is this? Every time I flip the switch talks back to me. Why are you flipping me? And if you want to flip me, leave me on that point. Well, I can't. Because during the nighttime, I like to have a light. But when the sun comes up, I like to shut it up. Should I leave it on? Just for the sake of consistency? I've seen this many, many times. Too many times to even count. And you know what the people do? They make flipping of switch. Let's say Yahuwah flipped the switch. On position. And they think that's it. Oh, it has to be on all the time. We cannot flip it back down, turn it off. They get offended. So the hair length has to be certain length. The clothing has to be certain clothes. Etc., etc. Nothing wrong with you having long hair. But doesn't mean you have to have a long hair all your generation after generation after generation. Because those things are all physical. The Bible is teaching you here. For as many as are led by the Spirit of Elohim. So if the Spirit of Elohim says go, you go. Until when? Until he says stop, you go. But when he tells you to stop, you don't complain. Wait a minute, you told me to go. And we've been going for 7 years. And this propensity, this natural reaction, human reaction of complaining every time something changes, is what gives the breeding ground to the religion. And that's what religions are. Religions are the people who say, okay, all the light switches should be on position all the time. So they form their own religion. And showing up, there are a group of people who say all the light switch should remain off position. They form their own religion. It really doesn't matter whether it's on or off, because they are the ones who are insisting how things should be. Instead of Yahuwah, the Creator, telling us what to do. How often? How often should Yahuwah tell you what to do? Oh, every moment, Dad, every moment. No. That's another form of religion. How often? Whenever he pleases. That's it. So he might tell you to do something for 10 years and he might not even tell you anything after that. You're pretty much on cruise control for 10 years. But 10 years later, he might come back and tell you, okay, You walked around this mountain long enough. Now come this way. What are you gonna do? Hey, I just got used to doing things this way for the last 10 years. I've gotten quite good at it. Why are you pulling me out of my routine? Again, this is our nature. Most people never look at themselves in the mirror deep enough to admit to it. That's why they always fall on this stumbling block. Whatever I think the way it should be. Okay, so again, let's go on. Verse 15. The only way that those who are led of the Spirit, so there should be very little or zero resistance. No if, ands, or but. Okay? How? Look at verse 15. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. So wherever Father leads, that's where I go. The reason why people complain when the Spirit of Yahuwah guides them from step to step, and you understand that every step that the person has to take is brand new. They cannot remain in routine. And the reason why they complain about anything latest, anything new, new revelation, new understanding, new knowledge, new wisdom, is because they have fear. They are afraid. They have bondage. They have been locked up in fear. What happens if this thing doesn't work? People who have true adoption of spirit reject that fear. Verse 16, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit. Yahuwah's Spirit beareth witness to our spirit that we are the children of Elohim. And how does this take place? You look at your deeds of mortal body. Do you deny it, or do you get uncomfortable? And because of that discomfort, do you reject or postpone? Oh yeah, I'm going to listen to you as soon as I feel comfortable to do so. Verse 17, and if children, then heirs, heirs of Elohim, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him. If so be, that's a big if. So here is likewise. If likewise that we suffer with him. That's a condition. Yahushua, study Yahushua's behavior. He made it absolutely clear that he did not want to die on the cross. It was not his choice. But how long did it take for him to say, I'm going to accept Father's will over mine? As soon as he said, it is not my will to receive this cup, right? There was zero latency. There was no lagging. In fact, we have studied and we know that the reason why he said that is to set us an example. That's what we ought to do. We know that our body, our flesh, refused to listen to the guidance and leading of the Spirit. That's a fact. So how long should we linger in this state of refusing to follow the Spirit's guidance? If we take Yahushua's example, how long? Instant, right? Father, if it is thy will, let this cup pass. But not my will be done, let thy will be done. Move on. That's the way we have to suffer with Yahushua. So it really makes no difference what a particular person is expected or asked to do by the Spirit of Father. The outside appearance is immaterial. What matters is what's going on in here. Whose voice are you listening? And how long are you going to drag your feet and linger behind when the Spirit tells you to go or stop? How long before your car slows down when you step on the brake? How long do you want the car to take before it begins to slow down? Right after you step on the brake. Right away. Because split second could mean the difference between accident and getting away, right? Responsibility. That's where the responsibility comes from. How quickly can you respond? Let me read that verse 17 again, please. And if children, then heirs, heirs of Elohim, and joint heirs with Hamashiach. If like this way, so means like this way, be that we become to suffer with him. That's a key. That we may be also glorified together. That's the condition of entering into Yahuwah's glory. So if you do not listen to the guidance of the Spirit responsibly, then you should look very closely at yourself. Maybe you thought you're a Christian, but chances are, if you do not respond to the guidance of the Spirit of truth, chances are you're not a Christian, according to the passage in the Bible, this passage. Maybe you are just a good person, quote unquote. Good person according to the worldly definition. Maybe you are a religious person. You attend church or other congregation, gathering places. Notice it doesn't talk anything about those. Verse 18. Because I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Not somewhere else, in our own being. For the honest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. The entire creation is waiting for the number to be fulfilled. There is a number. We don't know what it is. Father Yahuwah knows exactly how many people, how many of his children supposed to be gathered in before the whole creation can redeem a collective sigh, right? They could sigh a collective sigh of, now it's done. It is finished. That's what they're waiting for. The creature was made subject, verse 20 continues, to vanity, emptiness, not willingly. It was not the choice of them, but because the man has sinned, they don't have any choice. They have to come right along. Not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. Father Yahuwah made it that way. Father Yahuwah made every creation to be governed by the conduct of man. So when man is redeemed, the entire creation also gets redeemed. Now the redemption of the physical creation is different. They don't go to heaven necessarily, but they get redeemed to the point where they do not have to suffer to decay anymore. Well, it talks about that on verse 21. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered. That's the redemption that I was talking about. From the bondage of corruption, decay, into the glorious liberty of the children of Elohim. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of spirit. Our spirit, receive from heaven, those part in our being that is born from above, is the first fruit. What should be our last fruit then? Our last fruit should be our body, glorified body and mind. You understand? Even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. You see how it logically lays it out? Bible makes it very clear that when we are born from above in Yahushua HaMashiach, we are only born in the spirit, and that spirit has to occupy in this corrupt body until the spirit receives its righteous body. And that's what the verse 23 calls the redemption of our body. Verse 24, for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. This body, okay, look at me, this body you could see. So this is not our hope. We need to hope for the body that we cannot see yet, because nobody in the earth has it. You understand that? What kind of body? Body that is not subjected by any kind of physical law. You go right through the solid wall. Nuclear bomb blows up and it doesn't affect you. Lightning could strike and it goes right through. Bus could go and go right past you. You're not going to get hit by any of these things. Yet, you could grab solid object. You could drink water. Water does not spill out. But bullet goes right through. You explain to me what kind of body that is. You think that's amazing? You got billions and billions of foreign cells in your body, right? Germs, parasites. Your brand new body doesn't have any of that. It never decays. You don't need to take shower. The skin cells do not flake up and die. You don't need to cut your fingernails. Do you understand? But you do have a fingernails. There's no imperfection. And any place that you need to be in respect to the three-dimensional time-space, you're there instantaneously. The moment you think, you're there. You tell me. Can the billionaires, trillionaires have that kind of body? That is our hope. That's what verse 24 is talking about. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. We're not hoping to become billionaires or millionaires or whatever, have a jet airplane. You know how many jet airplanes crash and burn and die? People die in it? For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? That's a rhetorical question. Hope is for things that is unseen. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. What is our patience? If you are a child of Yahuwah, if you already have the spirit that is what? Part of that glorified being. This spirit that we already have received is part of that new body, that being, that complete me that is waiting for the part of it, which is body and mind. Spirit is already here, but body and mind is not there yet. So how do we patiently wait for it? By denying this body and mind. Hallelujah. By saying no to this guy. And that's also the secret of marriage. When you marry, let's say a man marries a woman. When that man marries woman and becomes her husband, and she becomes his wife, he has to forsake all other women. You can't say, "Oh, I like her too. Okay, I could sleep with her. I could go to bed with her. I could have a children with her." That's not marriage. Because he hasn't forsaken. Do you understand? How would you feel that I go and bring another young children and say, I treat them exactly like you guys, right? You probably feel kind of weird. Dad, you are our dad. Why are you being that person's daddy? So I could be nice, kind to other people, but I'll never be nice and kind to other people like how I'll treat you guys, right? Do you understand? So, if my spirit is waiting for my body that is not seen yet, how do you think my spirit is supposed to deal with this body? This is why Proverbs is incorrectly translated in NIV, saying that it is loud and contentious wife. They translate it. It's not a wife, it's a woman. That woman has nothing to do with the good man of the house. The spirit that is given from above has no connection to this body and mind, except in name only, term. You understand? In order to clarify that distinction in the Bible, when Yahuwah calls his people, he often, not always, but often give a new name, right? Abraham became Abraham, right? Jacob became Israel, remember? But he didn't change the name all of them. King David was still David. Moses was called by Moses out of water that he was drawn by his adopted mother. Egyptian princess actually gave him the name Moses. And that name stuck. Yahuwah did not say, "Oh, your name is no longer Moses, I'm going to call you something else." He didn't do that. But he did enough of it to illustrate a point that once you become Yahuwah's child, which means you have received the brand new spirit, living spirit, then your relationship between your spirit and your body, you see, this is where it gets confusing. I understand that because it sounds like you're the one person. You're not. There's two in you. One from above, one from below. And this is the spiritual battle. Who gets to be in control? When Yahushua's seed, the spirit from above, is in control, that spirit chooses to listen to the guidance of the Holy Ghost. You understand? When that spirit is not in control, this body and mind takes over. And that is given in the Bible as an illustration of getting drunk. So what do we hope for? We hope for things that are unseen. Don't pray for making a lot of money or being successful. Those are worthless. Steve Jobs, who started Apple Computer, well, back then it was called Apple Computer. Now it's just called Apple. He became one of the wealthiest men all over the world. But he couldn't take any of his wealth with him when he died of pancreatic cancer. He became really, really thin. Lost all the weight. Basically died on the care of the doctors. He was going medical treatment, but it wouldn't. He doesn't get to have this brand new body. Doesn't matter how much money. You can't buy this with money. And he did write a memo. He wrote a short memo before he died. It was like almost like his will, right? And it's very short. It was a message to those people who might be interested to hear what he was thinking a few days before he passed away. He said something to the point of, here I was spending all my waking moment trying to build the fantastic things, electronic things, right? Computers and gadgets and what have you. And here I'm lying down next to these stupid machines. These medical computers, electronic devices. When Steve looked at it, it looked like a horrible design, right? It's badly put together. And that's keeping me alive. And then he came to the realization, I shouldn't have gone for being successful. I shouldn't have spent all the time trying to be successful, going after the top of the pyramid. I realize now that money, you need just enough. Enough to do what? Enough to live. To put food on the table, roof over your head, right? Had I realized what I know now when I was younger, I would have stopped working at Apple computer, 100 hours or 120 hours. Basically, he was just living in the company. 20 hours a day, working, non-stop, driving his employees crazy, right? Employees. Huh? I should have just stopped and spent my time on things that matter. And he came to the conclusion. You could find it. You could Google this and find out. It's like half page long, very short. And his conclusion is very simple. Only thing that really matters at the end of the day is life. Life. He realizing that life is everything because he's dying. King Solomon does a similar thing, doesn't he? You could read the whole Ecclesiastes and you could get to the same conclusion. Now obviously, Steve Jobs didn't know Yahuwah. So he's just concentrating on physical life. Relationship with my wife. I should have spent more time with my wife. I should have spent more time with my child. I should have spent more time with my friends. Whatever, right? Life. And that's his conclusion. Very different from the public speech that he gave, encouraging the graduate class of Stanford, right? Oh, stay hungry and go for it. That's what he said. That's because that's when he was relatively healthy. Few days before he died, he was singing a different tune. Don't stay hungry. Don't do crazy things. If you have enough of material possession, call it good. Spend your time on things that cannot be bought with money. Verse 25, let's pick up the context again. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Verify this. Do you have a patience to wait for your brand new body to appear? And how are you going to receive it? Do you have assurance that you're going to receive this brand new body? If you don't, you're not going to be alive. There is no life for you. Because spirit by itself floats around. You need body and mind. And how do you patiently wait for it? By denying yourself, denying this body and mind. Saying no to the ways of this world. And yes to the guidance of the Spirit of Yahuwah. Now, please don't get me wrong. When you say no to this world, does not mean you don't touch this world. You don't have anything to do with this world. That's not what it means. Saying no to this world means you don't go into this world doing the things that comes naturally to you. That's what it means. You wait until the Spirit of Yahushua, the Holy Ghost, tells you what to do in this world. Do you understand? This is why I don't want to tell anybody don't have a bank account. Don't open a business. Don't get a car. You know, there are people like that. They make a religious rules and regulation. Oh, we're not going to have a bank account. We're not going to get social security number. We're not going to have a birth certificate. We don't want to do anything to do with this world. Wait a minute. Who's calling the shot? That's the key. Who's deciding not to do any of those? If it came from the Spirit of Yahuwah, good. Follow it. But if it came from your mind, or worse yet, somebody else's mind, then you have nothing to do with Yahuwah. Do you understand the difference? So can a child of Yahuwah become a billionaire? Absolutely. If that's what the Spirit of Yahuwah guides him to do. Do you understand? You know, all these talk about, this Illuminati and these elitists, they control the world with all these pyramids. That's true, by the way. And all these numbers that they want you to have. All these ubiquitous smartphone technologies. Pretty soon you're going to be wearing it, and pretty soon you're going to be in it. It's going to be embedded in human body. We shouldn't receive that. Yeah, generally I think that's a good idea. But are you saying that for whatever reason, Yahuwah cannot tell any one of us to go ahead and do that? No, we can't make that kind of determination. Only Yahuwah does that. So, patiently waiting for it means that you do not necessarily draw a broad stroke argument and say, oh, I'm not going to touch anything to do with this world. Remember what Peter said in the city of Joppa. He was staying with Simon the tanner. And right before Cornelius' entourage came, Cornelius sent 2 men, to ask for Peter, because he saw a vision from Yahuwah. Send men to Simon the tanner's house in city of Joppa. There's a guy named Peter, Simon, son named Peter. Get him, and he's going to tell you what to do. And right before Cornelius' man came, what was Peter doing? He was in trance. He was hungry during the midday. And this huge tent or tarp came down, filled with all kinds of disgusting animals that Peter would never touch. And the voice from heaven said, Peter, rise up, kill and eat. And Peter said, no, Adonai. Peter knew instantly that was the voice of Yahushua. No, Lord Adonai, no, I'm not going to eat this. These common things. From the youth up, I never touched anything common. And Yahushua said, what Father had sanctified, don't call it common. It happened 3 times. And then he came up to his senses. That's when Cornelius' man was standing in front of the door. You tell me, was it unlawful for the member of Jewish community to go and eat with the uncircumcised? According to their law, yes, it was unlawful. They could have been stoned. But what did Father Yahuwah do to Peter? He told him to go. Him and 7 more brethren came down, Total of 10 people. Please do not make presumptions. Certain things are certain way. How do you know? Oh, because that's how we always done. You mean you're never gonna grow? You're never gonna learn anything new from heaven above? Yahuwah cannot teach you anything new from the Bible? Oh, that's another key thing, right? Some people, in the sake of getting something new, they forsake Bible. That's wrong. It has to be biblical. All right, let's keep on going, please. So, verse 26 goes on. Likewise, the Spirit also helped our infirmities. What infirmities? Our tendency to get stuck. Our tendency to form religion. Our tendency to come up with the arbitrary rules and regulations that tells other people and themselves what to do and what not to do. Judgmental, presumptuous, ignorant. That infirmity. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought. Well, that's exactly right. Because if we depend on our own mind, we'll never pray according to Yahuwah's will be done. What are you going to pray? What do people tend to pray? What they like, right? They like to receive from Father Yahuwah, right? They usually want more money. They want to be healthy. They want to be happy, right? They never pray for let thy will be done. Because they are afraid. They are afraid. Verse 15. They are afraid that Father Yahuwah might take up on that offer. And make them to go through places where they don't want to be go. They don't want to, right? Oh, what if he sends me to North Korea? Right? Oh, I hear that they're going to hang people. They are afraid of that. That's why they cannot let the Spirit of Yahuwah lead them. I'll follow as long as what? It makes sense to me. As long as I understand, based on my internal governance, based on what I understand to be correct or righteous or wise, I'm going to follow. Anything that go against it, I'm going to reject. That's what they are saying. And the Bible is telling you, as long as you walk like that, you shall never see your hope. Your eternal hope of glory, which is your brand new body. You're not going to get there. Which means you're not going to go to heaven. Verse 26, we are almost there. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought to, as we must, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. This is why we can never be fully obedient to the will of Father unless you are filled with His Spirit. You see? It is Yahuwah's Spirit who allows us to be obedient. We can never be obedient on our own. Verse 27. And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is in the mind, what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of Elohim. Father Yahuwah sends his son Yahushua in form of the Spirit to do this. And then verse 28 comes. All the things that we talked about last Sabbath and this Sabbath is integral and prerequisite part of verse 28. If you take anything away, verse 28 means absolutely nothing. It just becomes empty saying. Hocus pocus, empty saying. Let's read verse 28 together. Remembering what we have studied all the way up to 27 verses to get here. Verse 28 together. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are called according to his purpose, who are the called according to his purpose. So if you do not follow Yahushua's guidance in spirit, if you do not mortify your own thoughts, yeah, that doesn't sound too bad, maybe I could do that, but that, no, I can't do that. If you have a mind like that, you are not worthy of receiving verse 28. Verse 28 has nothing to do with you, because you neither love Elohim nor are you the called according to his purpose. Who are you kidding? We just read the story of Naaman, the Syrian general. When he first came down in all his pompous extravaganza, right? He brought 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, 10 change. I mean, he was coming down with all these gifts. And he makes it to Elisha's house. Elisha wouldn't even open the door. He wouldn't even see him face to face. He sends his servant, Gehazi. And Gehazi runs up to him and says, the prophet says, go to river Jordan and wash yourself 7 times, then you shall be clean. And then Naaman gets angry, upset. What? I came all the way down from Syria. Don't we have a good rivers in Syria? Much better than this stinky river Jordan. I thought he was going to come out and lay his hand on me, do something. He won't even see me in the face. I'm going back home. What is that picture of? That's a picture of my flesh. What Naaman is doing is exactly what I do in this body and mind. When Yahuwah tells me something, that's my response. I come down on a horseback. But thankfully for Naaman's sake, he had a reason. He had a little bit of logic, I guess, right? Hey, even if a prophet asked you to do something great, something difficult, you would have done it. He's telling you to wash yourself clean. What's so hard about that? What's the worst that could happen? You'll still be leper. So he does take the time and dip himself 7 times. And he is cleansed. He's completely like a baby's bottom, right? Now, second time when he visits, right after that, he runs back to Elisha. What does he do? Go and study. Completely different. He's no longer riding on horseback like a conqueror. Oh, look at all these gifts that I could give him. No, he's bowing down, kneeling down. For that Naaman, Elijah speak to face. That's a picture of humility. For the first Naaman, Yahuwah's goodness has nothing to do. Nothing. Oh yeah, his body might be cleansed, but he's gonna be still thrown away because he has nothing to do with the kingdom of Yahuwah. Think about all those people who participated in Yahushua's miracle. How many of those 5,000 men ate that bread and ate fish, became child of Yahuwah? Think about it. The Bible tells you, many of them never walk with Yahushua again. Never. Go and study book of John. I believe it's in somewhere between chapter 6 and chapter 9. Many were offended. And they never walked with Yahushua ever again. These are the people who followed Yahushua from the day one. Everywhere he went, they followed. But when they were told, Yahushua saying that I am the bread from heaven, my flesh is the bread indeed, they got offended. And they said, we know this man is a carpenter's son, and he's going to give us his flesh so that we could eat. This is a hard saying. Who could understand it? And they went. Why? Because it made no sense to their flesh. Their body and mind just couldn't process that information. So those people saying that, wow, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, because I love God. That love God and what Bible calls love God has nothing to do with each other. Absolutely nothing. Like a Naaman the general riding on the horseback versus Naaman the cleansed leper bowing down on the dirt. Nothing is the same. They are not the two people. Yes, it's the same name, Naaman. But one before and one after is completely different. They claim they love God. They claim they are called according to His purpose. None of this is true. But they'll never find out. Can you tell the difference? Just in case that you missed the verses from 1 through 27, to qualify what is required for verse 28 to be true. It continues on. Verse 29, because of whom He did foreknew, He also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son. Conformed to the image of His Son means to be like Him. Remember, we talked about this. How long was the latency? How long was the time delay between will of the Father and obedience of His Son Yahushua? How much time passed from the moment Father said do that to yes Father, I'll do it? How long? 0. The moment He said, oh Father, if it is at all possible, let this cup pass, but not my will be done, but Thy will be done. How long? Instantaneous. Are we doing like that? Do we say yes to the Spirit's guidance and follow His leading? Or do we drag our feet and say, wait a minute, we've always done it differently. We've always done it this way. Now you're telling us to go this way? That He might be the firstborn among many brethren. Whatever Yahushua did, whatever is the likeness of Yahushua, we must conform exactly the same way. Moreover, verse 30, whom He did predestinate, them He also called. And whom He called, them He also justified. And whom He justified, them He also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Of course, if you are like Hamashiach, if you're like Jesus Christ, who could be against you? He died because Father told Him to go to the cross. What shall we say? Verse 31, we already read. Verse 32, He that spared not His own Son, but delivered Him up for us all. What is the purpose of delivering His Son for us all? So that we could be like His Son. That's it. So we could be like Him. So Yahushua becomes the first fruit. What is second, third, fourth, millionth fruit? That's all of us. We must copy Him. We don't just watch Yahushua and spectating. Oh, He did a good job. Wonderful, wonderful. Now let's go back to our own home and do whatever we want. That's not it. We must copy Him. We must conform to His image. This is part of what it means to love God and to be called of, to be the one that is the called for his purpose, according to his purpose. You know what is really happening is people like the saying of, we know that all things work together for good. Oh yeah, I want everything to work together for good for me too. No matter what kind of screw up I do, no matter what kind of sin that I commit, no matter what kind of iniquity that I commit, I still want to go to heaven. That's what they want. They are greedy. But they don't want to study about what it means to love God and to be the one that are the called according to his purpose. They don't want part of that. That's too much work. I don't want to conform to Yahushua's image, but I do want to receive the brand new body. I don't want to go to the cross and die and be buried, but I want to receive his grand body, right? I want to go to heaven. You see? That's like, I don't want to pay for this meal, but since I'm in the restaurant, I want you to feed me, right? What do you think the restaurant owner is going to do? Get the hell out of here. You're not going to pay? I'm not going to serve. And if you eat and don't pay, I'm going to call police and lock you up. Oh, but we are saved by Yahushua's work. Yes, we are. We are saved by Yahushua's work. Once we become saved, then we could walk in his footsteps. Do you understand? Naaman was not saved. That's why Elisha did not talk to him. Naaman became saved. His leprosy was cleansed, right? He got saved. That's a picture of salvation. After he's saved, that's when Naaman comes and gets to talk with Elisha. Do you understand? People think they become saved by working hard. No, you don't. You don't become saved by working hard. You become saved by Yahuwah's gift, his mercy and grace. But if you are saved, you must bear the fruit. What is the fruit? Conformation, becoming, conforming to the image of Yahushua. That's the fruit. Verse 32 again, he that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of Yahuwah's or Elohim's elect? It is Elohim that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? It is Hamashiach that died. Yea, rather, that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of Elohim. Father Yahuwah, Yahushua, they are together. Yahushua is sitting on the throne of Father Elohim, who also maketh intercession for us. How does he make intercession? In his spirit. In his spirit he makes intercession for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Again, this is another very adored passage, verse 35. Just maybe not as much as verse 28, but verse 35 all the way up to 39 is also favorite saying of so many religious people. Who shall separate us from love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? This is true. If you deny yourself and follow the leading of the Spirit of Yahushua, nothing can separate you. But if you walk according to the greedy perversion of your mind and body, then you already separate yourself from Yahushua. Nobody has to separate for you. You already walked out. Like prodigal son, no one kicked him out of the father's house. He walked out. To say that, oh no, who shall separate us from love of Hamashiach? When in fact, you already separated yourself by sin and iniquity, and saying that, oh, shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness, peril or sword, is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. Why should they try to separate you? You are already separated from kingdom of heaven. That's why you don't feel anything. Oh, I don't feel any buffeting from tribulation or distress or persecution, famine, nakedness, peril, or sword. Everything is just fine, hunky-dory, right? That's because you're already dead fish floating down the river. The current does not need to fight against your body because you are part of the current. In case that people were going to say, well, where does it say that current does not fight with the body? Look at verse 36. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I made it up. Right. I wrote the Romans in such a way that it's going to look like that. And when I need that verse, it's right there. Look at verse 36. As it is written, for thy sake. Whose sake? Father Yahuwah and Son Yahushua's sake. For the Spirit's sake. Whatever the Spirit telling me to do, when I obey the Spirit's guidance, this is the outcome that I must verify. For the Spirit's sake, we are what? Killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. The fish that is swimming against the current of the river feel the river's current. Do you understand? Dead fish, rotten fish floating and going down with all the dirty debris in the river, they don't have to feel anything. If a person says that, oh, I'm a child of God, I go to church, I'm a Christian, and everything is just hunky-dory, nothing is buffeting me, then verse 36 should be taken out. This is your home. You are welcomed in this world. People love you. Not the case for those who follow Yahushua's calling. In these things, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through Him that loved us. See, it goes hand in hand. If you're not obeying the Spirit's guidance and deny yourself, hence you get the buffeting of the ways of this world, then there's nothing for the Spirit to fight the buffeting to become more than conquerors. You can't have one without the other. You can't get half pregnant. You are either child of Yahuwah walking in the Spirit and obeying Yahushua's guidance. Hence, you take all these buffet. The whole world come against you, and you are counted as all the day long. We are counted as a sheep for the slaughter. Or you are loved by this world. There's nothing. Oh, everything is just fine. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Verse 38, for I am persuaded. Whose I am? All this time, we're talking about us. We, ye, them, plural form. Now, we are switching gear on verse 38. Switching gear. I am persuaded. Paul is talking about his own conviction. Based on the years of walking with the Spirit. I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, no principalities, no powers, no things present, no things to come, no height, no depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of Elohim, which is in Yahushua HaMashiach. HaMashiach Yahushua, our Adonai. If you are in Noah's Ark, it doesn't matter what kind of wind is blowing, what kind of a torrential rain is pouring, what kind of wave is crashing. It doesn't matter. You are separated from all that and you are protected. But it would be foolhardy to think that, well, we are doing okay. It's dry and comfortable in the ark. So outside must be not raining. Outside must be dry and comfortable too. It's like very calm waves, right? To assume things like that would be foolish. In Yahushua HaMashiach, we are more than conquerors. In Yahushua HaMashiach, we are protected and separated from all the things that buffet us. Why? Because we are keeping His commandment. Whatever He tells us, that's what we do. And we must verify that Spirit indeed, remember 1 Johann, right? We better verify that Spirit that is trying to talk to our spirit is indeed the Spirit of Yahushua HaMashiach. How do we do that? How do we verify it? You verify with His Word. Book of Romans chapter 8 tells you line by line, okay, step by step, how to verify these things. The whole book tells you actually. Book of Romans is like that. It is comical, but it's really sad that so many people who call themselves Christians parrot. They're like parrots. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose. Oh, I just love this verse. Yeah. I know all things going to work out for me. You want to go shopping? No. I'm too busy watching football game on the TV. What love of God? Huh? What called according to? Who are the called according to His purpose? Did God call you to watch football games? He could. I'm not saying He cannot. But every Sunday? Oh no, I don't watch football game every Sunday. Sure you don't. Because soon enough, it's not going to be football season anymore. Now you're going to watch basketball, right? Yeah. And then one after that, baseball, right? Yeah. I don't go shopping all the time. Of course not. Sometimes you gossip. Sometimes you talk on the phone. You don't spend all your time doing one particular activity. But it really doesn't matter what the activity that you're doing. Because the whole question is, who's deciding what activity to do? Who are you listening? That's the question. So if Yahuwah, I'm not going to put words in Yahuwah's mouth. But the Spirit of Yahushua said, Christian, go and watch some football game. I'm going to watch football game. But I doubt so seriously, right? That He's going to make me watch football game day after day, night after night. While His house burns down. Huh? Never doing any of His work. People spend 40, 50 years going to church without reading once the Bible. Yet they could recite every one of their favorite activities, all the details. They become experts in it. People who like to fish, they become expert in fishing. People who like to garden, they become expert in gardening. People who like to fix and tinker with the cars, they become experts in the car. But they never become expert in Bible. Oh, that's for the pastor. That's for the priest. That's for the preacher to do. I'm not a pastor, preacher. Bible tells you otherwise. Bible tells you that every child of Yahuwah must bear the fruit. And how are you going to bear fruit without knowing how to verify what the Spirit does? Huh? Which Spirit is the true Spirit of Yahushua? You can't verify without the word of Yahuwah. Typical American spends 5+ hours either watching on the smartphone or big screen TV. Entertainment. 5 hours of entertainment. How many Christians who call themselves Christians invest time in reading and studying and meditating word of Yahuwah every day? How many hours? When we started KJV224.com, 2 hours and 24 minutes, it seemed like a long time. 2 hours and 24 minutes each day. I just don't have that time. Well, cut down the watching TV, half. There's your 2.5 hours. Stop wasting time doing things that means absolutely nothing for the kingdom of Yahuwah. And furthermore, absolutely nothing for your brand new body. You do not hope properly if you neglect the body that you're going to receive. Spend time with Yahuwah. Spend time with Yahushua. Then you will understand what the Bible is talking about. So it's one hand washing another. Without reading the Bible, you can never spend time with Yahuwah and His Son Yahushua. Without spend time with Yahuwah and Yahushua, you can never read the Bible. It's one hand washing another. It's no different than eating or breathing. Next time when you have a meal, try to eat without chewing, without opening your mouth, without moving your tongue. Well, I can't eat anything then. All I'm going to do is just stare at it. Stare at it. I'm not going to be able to, what? I'm not allowed to open my mouth? No, don't open your mouth. Don't chew it. Don't swallow it. Don't move your tongue. But eat. I can't eat anything. Okay, let's flip that around. Okay? Next time when you have a meal, open your mouth, put food in your mouth, start chewing, start swallowing, but don't eat. See what happens. I cannot not eat then. It's one or the other. You can't get half pregnant. You cannot go halfway in between. You are either eating or you are not eating, right? And the eating process comes with their own set of activities. You gotta open your mouth. Gotta put food in your inside. Swirl around with your tongue. Chew it. Swallow. But don't eat. I can't do that because that entire process is eating, right? It's exactly the same principle. When you read Bible, you walk with Yahuwah and His Son Yahushua. And when you walk with Yahuwah and His Son Yahushua, it is impossible not to read the Bible. It's okay to let your heart beat, but don't breathe. What? I can't do that. Okay then. Breathe, but don't let your heart beat. You can't do that either. Right? One takes another. This takes this, this takes this. They all happen what? At the same time. Together. You cannot commune with the Father Yahuwah unless you read the Bible. And unless you read the Bible, you cannot commune with Father Yahuwah. So which is it? Is it chicken or the egg? Is it egg or the chicken? Well, we know the answer. It's the chicken, of course. Yahuwah created it. People go through their lives, entire life. I told you about Steve Jobs' last memoir. I don't know if it's the last one, but that's the last one I read. On his deathbed, few days before he passed away. It'll be too late for you. You really would like to do it before that time comes. Today. Make the time to commune with the Creator that has your body in store for you. He's the only one who could give you that hope, that glorified hope. By the way, the worldly people, right? The Satan's people are believing in this old hope. They call it immortality, physical immortality. And you know how they're going to achieve it? According to their conviction? The machine's going to attain singularity and the computers become so wise that they're going to have this machine body. Okay? Humanoid form body that they're going to input their intellect, their information, what makes them who they are, their memory into computer hard drive and live forever. That's their version. And they're working very hard for it. I don't know. But even the machines get beat up, right? Right? Even if you have a cyborg machine body, if you get hit by enough bullets, you're gonna die. Right? I don't want that kind of body. But that's a counterfeit. The Satan have put fleas in people's ears to tickle their ear, right? And these people believe that that's how they're going to attain eternal life. Well, leave them alone. Let the dogs lie with the flea. Leave them alone. Yahuwah's people should spend time, invest their talent to study what the Father has to say. It's ludicrous how these people are thinking. I hope and pray that if you are indeed Yahuwah's people, Yahuwah's person, that you take the time to read the Bible and pray that His guidance be applied to your life. Please do not make presumptuous thoughts. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Oh no, I wish I could do that. Don't do things like that. And always verify the Spirit's voice, because there are antichrist, counterfeit spirits floating around. Let us pray. Father Yahuwah, we thank Thee again for Thy loving kindness and Thy truth. Help us, Father, to walk in Thy name in Yahushua HaMashiach. Grant us Thy presence in all the things that we do, in all the places, Father. Let Thy name be lifted up. Help us, Father, to walk in Thy Son Yahushua's conformity. Allow us to become like Him in every step of the way. Grant us strength, wisdom, knowledge, and all that is from above, all that is from Thee, Father, to bear much fruit for Thy glory. In Yahushua's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.